Right. Thank you for coming. My name is Jinni, Pradhan, and I'm the inaugural program director for the Center for Asian Pacific Islander Student Empowerment here at San Jose State. As the convener and lead, thank you. As the convener and lead for today's event, it is my great pleasure to introduce our MC for our plenary session, Mike Inouye. Mike was born and raised in the South Bay, and you might recognize him as the NBC Bay Area's weekday morning traffic anchor and an amazing community member who has supported our campus's recognition of Day of Remembrance since the first one. Please welcome Mike Inouye.
Thank you, Jinni, and you said amazing, exactly like I wrote it. So. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to San Jose University's third annual Day of Remembrance. I say annual because it is happening every year, and religiously on the 19th. My name is Mike Inouye, as Jinni said, and even though I'm not a true alum of San Jose State, I needed to confess that because if you look on the records, you will not see my name on any of the graduation programs. But I've been to enough programs here, including the last two Day of Remembrance ceremonies. I've been to events here, and I have grown and learned as a result of activities here on the campus so much that I'm flattered that some people have said that I've earned my honorary Spartan helmet. So I will gladly accept that. Thank you. I'll gladly accept that title. Also, I stand before you as a Yonsei. That's the Japanese term for the fourth generation Japanese American, and I proudly accept that title as well. We are gathered here today, February 19th, to observe the Day of Remembrance, a national observation and commemoration of Executive Order 9066, which led to the forced incarceration of over 120,000 Japanese termed immigrant aliens and their children, 2/3 of whom were American citizens. We observe this day at San Jose State because the campus has an intimate connection to this history. In 1942, the San Jose State University Men's Gym building, currently Yoshihiro Uchida Hall, served as a registration center for local Japanese neighbors prior to their forced removal to assembly centers and later to incarceration camps. I don't know if my parents went to this specific site, but they are also from the South Bay, and they were clearly a threat. My father would have been almost 8 months old, and my mother was nearly 4, so you can see we kept the country safe. Today, we gather not only to educate ourselves and to reflect on history, but also to confront the discomfort of acknowledging the injustices in which this campus, this country, and our institutions have been complicit at times. The Day of Remembrance is a solemn call to recognize the lasting impact of exclusion, xenophobia, and state-sanctioned discrimination, historical forces that continue to echo in our present time. In a time when anti-immigrant rhetoric and policies are once again shaping the national landscape, today gives us pause to ask ourselves, what have we truly learned? The incarceration of Japanese Americans during World War II was justified under the pretense of national security, yet it was rooted in racism, fear, and political expediency. Today, we see similar narratives weaponized against immigrants, asylum seekers, and entire communities who are cast as threats rather than as human beings with dignity and rights. History demands that we do more than remember. It requires that we act and we resist at times. It also reminds us that our communities have always resisted, persisted, and created beauty even in the face of adversity. There's no better way to honor this spirit than to unify under the powerful beats of San Jose Taiko, a sound that echoes the strength, the resilience, and the vibrancy of a people who have endured, fought back, and thrived. Taiko is more than music. It's a heartbeat of a community, a call to action, and a reminder that we are strongest when we move together in rhythm. Ladies and gentlemen, San Jose Taiko.
Again, we are San Jose Taiko. We're very happy to be here to be part of this Day of Remembrance program. Our group, San Jose Taiko, was actually founded in San Jose in 1973 by a group of young Japanese Americans, Asian Americans, many of whom had ties to this university. Some were students here, and our founders really wanted to do something that would give these young Asian Americans, these young Japanese Americans, a voice and a way to really uplift the Asian American and specifically the Japanese American community. And that's been a really big emphasis for our organization over these past 52 years. And so being at events like this, uplifting and sharing the story of the Japanese American internment is something that's very near and dear to the hearts of San Jose Taiko. And it's something that we've really strived to really make sure that the younger generation knows these stories, because as we all know, the people who experienced this internment, who actually went through this, are unfortunately all are passing. And so it's really through events like this and different programs and things that we're able to do allows us to continue to share this story and make sure that people don't forget this terrible thing that happened to our Japanese Americans back in 1942. So thank you so much for all being here this morning. I hope you all learned a great deal. And we're gonna finish our performance here with our last piece. This piece is called Gendai ni Ikiru, which means living in the present.
Thank you, Chief of San Jose Taiko, for sharing the powerful artistry as well as their message and their roots, which are largely, as I said, rooted in the community right here, starting in part at San Jose State. It sounds like class is over. We want to thank them for sharing the powerful artistry with us because the beats not only fill the air, but they connect us as well. They connect us, they move us, they remind us of the resilience that is woven through our collective histories amongst our various communities. Through their performance, we feel the pulse of our ancestors, the strength of these communities that they created, and of course the unshakable rhythm, the strength of solidarity that they have created. So let's keep carrying that on, folks. As we begin today's program, of course, we're talking about the past, history. It's essential to ground ourselves in more of the history of this land. Let's not neglect, let us recognize the indigenous peoples who have stewarded it for generations. Leading us in this important land acknowledgement is Dr. Kristen Dukes, San Jose State's Chief Diversity Officer. Dr. Dukes.
Good morning. I am Dr. Kristen Nicole Dukes. My pronouns are she, they, and I am the Chief Diversity Officer at San Jose State University. In this role, I serve as the Senior Diversity Officer of the institution and oversee the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I am honored to contribute to today's event by reading the Land Acknowledgement Statement. This Land Acknowledgement Statement and the Day of Remembrance program both demonstrate the importance of acknowledging harm when it is committed and being accountable for restoring individuals and communities that have been harmed, intentionally and unintentionally. Thus, we would like to begin this Day of Remembrance by recognizing that while we gather at San Jose State University, we are gathered on the ethno-historic tribal territory of the Damian-Ohlone, who were the direct ancestors of lineage enrolled in the Mowakne-Ohlone tribe, and were missioned into Mission Santa Clara, San Jose, and Dolores. The lands on which San Jose State University is established was and continues to be of significance to the Mowakne-Ohlone. We also recognize that the ancestors of the Mowakne-Ohlone constructed and maintained 3 Bay Area missions. Our campus extends surrounding areas that held a tupantak, a traditional roundhouse, which were once located at the historic Lopine Niegos, Land Grant Rancho, Posame y Positas de la Animas, Little Wells of Souls, and also Marcelo, Pio, and Cristobal's, Land Grant Rancho, Ulisek, which were places of celebration and religious ceremonies, as well as nearby ancestral heritage shell mounds that served as the tribe's traditional cemetery sites and territorial monuments. San Jose State University also desires to honor the military service of the Mowakne men and women who have honorably served overseas during World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, Iraq, and who are still serving in the United States Armed Forces today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dukes. And may this also serve as a call to honor Indigenous resilience and for all of us to be in solidarity with all marginalized communities who have faced exclusion, displacement, and injustice. And I know there are very few communities that have not experienced that, so let's have open minds and open hearts. Now, while she couldn't be with us in person today, Dr. Cynthia Teniente-Matson, President of San Jose State University, does send her heartfelt regards and support for this important gathering. She's been with us from the start, integral in pushing this effort through at San Jose State, and at this time we'd like to share a special video message from Dr. Teniente-Matson.
Hello, Spartans, and to all gathered here today for this important occasion. I want to begin by expressing my regret that I cannot be with you in person for this year's Day of Remembrance. This day holds profound significance, not only for our university but for our society, as we reflect on a painful chapter in our nation's history and reaffirm our commitment to truth and fairness. Each year, on February 19th, we recognize the Day of Remembrance to reflect on the impact of Executive Order 9066, which led to the forced removal and incarceration of over 120,000 Japanese Americans, including members of our own San Jose community. In fact, Yoshoshita Hall once served as a registration center for those affected, embedding this history into our own campus history. Yet the story does not end with incarceration. It's one of resilience and advocacy. The Japanese American community led movements that resulted in landmark Supreme Court decisions and lasting policy changes. Their efforts not only sought justice for their own community, but also set a precedent for broader civil rights advocacy. This enduring struggle exemplifies how resistance leads to renewal and how the pursuit of justice continues across generations. At SJSU, we recognize that our past informs our present and our future. This observance is an opportunity for each of us to reflect on the lessons of history and to consider how we can do our work in a way that ensures injustices like this remain in the past. We honor the courage of those who lived through these injustices and ensure that their stories continue to be told. Today's program represents the dedication of our students, faculty, and community members who work to keep this history alive and ensure that we can learn from it. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to Jinni Pradhan, Program Director at Kamei, and all SJSU staff, faculty, and beloved community members for your service and dedication to this important work. I encourage you all to engage with today's speakers, reflect on their stories, and consider how we can collectively stand against injustice in all its forms. Though I'm not with you in person, I'm with you in spirit, reflecting, honoring, and committing to the work ahead. Thank you for being here, for remembering, and for continuing the fight for justice. Enjoy today's program, and go Spartans.
Thank you, Dr. Teniente-Matson. And I really want to quickly give a shout out to my buddy, my friend, my colleague, sitting in the front row here. He came in quietly, as is his way. Robert Honda's here. He actually earned his stripes here at San Jose State University. And a key member of our Muse team as well, bringing us the important stories that we continue to tell, Robert. Thank you, sir. I want to call out now, invite Nina Chuang, San Jose State University's Assistant Director of Government and Community Relations, to the stage. Nina, our own Asian American Studies alumna, plays a vital role in strengthening the connections between the university, local government, and broader community. At this time, Nina is going to introduce the esteemed guests who are joining us today, so please join me in welcoming to the stage Nina Chuang.
Good morning.
Good morning. Ohayo gozaimasu.
As we introduce our esteemed guests today, we want to acknowledge their presence and support in a way that keeps the energy moving and ensures that everyone feels recognized. We'll be using the one clap method. After I say each name, I'll pause, and together we'll give one strong clap before moving to the next person. How's that sound? Let's give this a quick try. On 3, one big clap. 1. Okay, I'm glad that we're practicing now. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Let's do this. Now let's begin. Santa Clara County Supervisor Betty Young. Santa Clara County Supervisor Susan Ellenberg. San Jose City Councilmember Rosemary Kamei. San Jose City Councilmember George Casey. San Jose City Councilmember Bien Duong. San Jose City Councilmember Pamela Campos. San Jose City Councilmember Pam Foley. Ellen Kamei, Mayor of Mountain View. Paul Fong, former State Assembly member. Jacqueline Oceta, representing the office of Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren. Megan Betty, representing the office of State Senator Dave Cortese. Elizabeth Baca, representing the office of State Senator Aisha Wahab. Cadence Walker, representing the office of State Assembly member Ash Kalra. Hannah Barnes, representing the office of State Assembly member Gail Pellerin. El Khatib and Victoria Pham representing the office of Assemblymember Patrick Aarons. Melissa Gott Lopez, Mount Pleasant School Board. Victor Vasquez, Co-Executive Director of Somos Mayfair. Hector Sanchez Flores, Executive Director of National Compadres Network. Gabby Chavez Lopez, Latino Coalition of Silicon Valley. Lisa Yamura, Executive Director of San Jose Taiko. Vanessa Hatakayama, Japanese American Museum of San Jose. Jen Masuda, UICAI. Sharon Ueda, President of Japanese American Citizens League. Susan Hayase and Tom Izu, Nikkei Resistors. Reiko Nakayama, Nihon Machi Outreach Committee. Ladonna Yamori Kaku, President of the Asian American Studies Alumni Association. And Robert Honda, NBC Bay Area. And one more clap for yourselves. Yay. Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce Supervisor Betty Young to the stage.
Hi everyone, neighbors, colleagues. I also see some of my former professors here from Asian American Studies at De Anza College. Thank you all for being here on this Day of Remembrance. I'm Betty Young and I represent District 2 on the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors, and joined today by my colleague Supervisor Ellenberg. District 2 is right here. It includes San Jose State University, Japantown, Downtown, Eastside, Plata Arroyo, Mayfair, all really the greatest neighborhoods that make San Jose San Jose. And this is the year where the Board of Supervisors for the first time welcomed 2 Asian American women to serve on the Board of Supervisors. We have our first Japanese American woman serving as county supervisor starting this year, and myself as the first Vietnamese American to serve on the county board of supervisors. San Jose and Santa Clara County is an epicenter of Asian American Pacific Islander heritage, history, activism, action, and resistance happening right now, and we're going to set the course for the future, just as we've always done through difficult times. As the first Vietnamese American to serve on the board, I understand deeply the importance of honoring our history of heritage and the legacy we leave and the legacy we inherit. That we do not shy away from it, we acknowledge it, learn from it, recognize its impact, and use it to build a stronger community. I want to thank the Center for Asian Pacific Islander Student Empowerment and its Program Director, Dr. Jinni Pradhan, for organizing, leading today's events, and for their leadership and advocacy. We must acknowledge that San Jose State University was once a site where Japanese Americans were processed under Executive Order 9066 in 1942, a painful chapter, a shameful chapter in U.S. history. In recognizing this, we also celebrate the enduring activism that ensures that injustices such as this do not happen again. That is why I'm so proud that San Jose State recently formally established the Asian American Studies, recently established Asian American Studies as a major. And as an Asian American Studies major graduate myself, I know firsthand how critical this field is in shaping our communities and creating home. I took my first Asian American Studies class and really was introduced to Asian American history and resistance and activism at De Anza College because there was a class in the course catalog being offered called Contemporary Asian American Issues. So at that time I thought, I'm a contemporary Asian American and I have issues. I took the course. And it really truly, the kids like to talk about easy A's, right? Like that was what we called it. I don't know what you guys call it now, but I took the course and it really was probably the hardest course I've ever taken. It really was a homecoming for me. For many of us who take ethnic studies or take part in Asian American studies, Chicano studies, African American studies, whatever those studies may be that shares the flip side of history. The parts that are still being written and recorded for posterity to study and to learn as acts of resistance, not just as intellectual exercise. But like I said, it was a homecoming for me where I was able to root myself in this new community and help build my own identity based on my terms and as a reflection of the accurate history of my people. So history is repeating itself today. and telling those most vulnerable, once again, that this is not their home, that there is no homecoming for you. The commemorations such as today, the discussions you'll have, the joyful acts of resistance through poetry, song, and dance, and art is how we fight back against that. And so we will continue to resist against today's hateful rhetoric. And this is really the foundation, just as it's always been historically. San Jose State University, Santa Clara County, and our beautiful city of San Jose has always been the epicenter of resistance. So I look forward to resisting with you through acts of joy. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Next, I would like to welcome Susan Ellenberg to the stage to also provide some welcoming remarks.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to address all of you today on this Day of Remembrance for the Executive Order 9066, which caused irreparable harm to more than 100,000 Americans of Japanese descent and their families. I am Susan Ellenberg. I represent District 4 on the Board of Supervisors, which includes the cities of Campbell and Santa Clara and much of West San Jose. We come here today to look back on one of the darkest days in our nation's history, when our leaders allowed hate and prejudice to win. That decision, that acceptance of bigotry and injustice, allegedly in the name of country or patriotism, caused tremendous harm that continues to reverberate to this day. The damage done in the 1940s in this country started with hateful rhetoric that became acceptable, then moved into action that pitted neighbor against neighbor and led to the very circumstances against which this country had pledged to protect from its very inception. Does that ring any bells? Sadly, much of that hate speech, that rhetoric of prejudice and bigotry, has returned today in the form of political discourse and active, harmful policy implementation that targets immigrants, members of the LGBTQ community, seekers of reproductive health rights, the pursuit of racial equity, and frankly, anyone else the federal administration regards as less than. Just as San Jose State rose up against Executive Order 9066, it is our collective responsibility to reignite that same passion and refusal to acquiesce to policies that are unjust, unconstitutional, and at heart, grounded in willful ignorance and cruelty. What can we do that extends beyond the rhetoric of resistance to the federal administration or professions of support to residents who currently feel threatened? Let me share just a couple of ideas. Number one, do not catastrophize unnecessarily and do not behave or speak as if everything Trump or Musk says can actually happen. Number two, learn how to be a protective bystander for individuals threatened by ICE by becoming part of the Rapid Response Network. Number three, vocalize your support for the LGBTQ community and be courageous and loud when others are legitimately afraid to be so. Number four, contribute money to local organizations that are serving populations under threat. Help them do their work, especially as federal funding dries up. Number five, demand that your congressional representatives and senators not focus on insults or slights, but on specific tactics to minimize or eliminate the impact of this administration's improper edicts. We cannot wait this out for even 2 years when Democrats are already saying they believe they can regain control of the House or the Senate. Demand that they fight back now and every day. Finally, number six, reach out and form new alliances. Poverty, job loss, benefit calculation, and fire protection are not partisan issues. They affect people regardless of how they voted. Be part of a movement that is broad enough to incorporate a variety of views with the shared purpose of protecting and honoring the human condition. This Day of Remembrance reminds us that the work of pursuing a just world continues. No one will come to save us if we don't take care of each other. Conversely, when we do take care of one another, and in Santa Clara County, we will take care of one another. If we embrace our shared circumstances, we will grow, and justice will ultimately prevail. I believe this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all.
Thank you, Supervisor. It's such a privilege for us to have 2 county supervisors with us today. And not only that, we have representatives from City Council. Now I'd like to introduce Councilmember Rosemary Kamei to the stage to also provide some remarks. And she actually has spoke at our very first Day of Remembrance here when it took place at San Jose State in 2023. Rosemary Kamei.
Thank you so much, Nina. You know, as an San Jose State alum, I am so proud that we stand together to never forget. Today we gather to remember and honor the lives lost and affected by World War II incarceration of American of Japanese ancestry in the United States. We stand in solidarity with the families, friends, and communities impacted by this devastating event. As we reflect on the past, we acknowledge the pain, the suffering, and the resilience of those who've been affected. We recognize, really now more than ever, the importance of remembering and learning from our history to build a more just and compassionate society, a society where we can live with freedom and peace. Let us take a moment to honor the memories of those we have lost. May their stories, their struggles, and their triumphs continue to inspire us to work towards a world where such tragedies never happen again. May we find strength in our collective remembrance, and may we continue to strive for a brighter future for all. Thank you for coming today, and thank you for never, ever forgetting. I would now like to ask my colleagues on the San Jose City Council to come forward, where we would like to give the City of San Jose commendation to Center for Asian Pacific Islander Student Empowerment. And I don't know if it's Nina who will be receiving it, or we have representatives coming forward on behalf of the entire City Council and our mayor. Thank you for continuing the program and never ever forgetting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There we are. Thank you, council members. Next, I would like to invite Ellen Kamei, Mayor of Mountain View. Also moderator for our breakout session, number 2.
Yes, I'll be promoting our panel shortly. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to join the San Jose State Day of Remembrance. Growing up, I always had to check the other box. My mother is Puerto Rican and Chinese, and my father is Japanese American. He was born at Heart Mountain incarceration camp. And last year, when President Teniente-Matson formally apologized for the role of San Jose State University, was such a moving moment for me, where I felt that otherness disappear for a little bit. And I think that the Day of Remembrance, we're all here to celebrate the enduring strength and resilience of the Japanese American community. We're here to heal from the trauma of racial injustices carried out by the stroke of a pen. Yet, as we're seeing in our everyday lives, the experiences of Japanese Americans are not unique, and we must be vigilant in speaking up and standing up against injustices. It's a time where we need to dig deep for silver linings and opportunities to find joy. So I thought I'd share 3 examples with all of you that have been my silver linings. Today is a historic moment of healing. And yesterday, for the first time, the original signed Executive Order 9066 was seen alongside the Irecho, the book of names that commemorates those whose lives were upended by the unconstitutional order at the National Archives in Washington, D.C. For those who aren't familiar with the Ide Cho, it's created by the Ide Project in October of 2022. It's over 1,000 pages long and weighs 25 pounds. It contains the names of 284 individuals of Japanese ancestry incarcerated during World War II. And over the last 2 years, the project brought tens of thousands of people to Little Tokyo, to the Japanese American National Museum, to acknowledge and stamp the names of those unjustly incarcerated as an act of remembrance and repair. My own family went to stamp our names, and today the Ide Cho goes on view at the Smithsonian National Museum of American History, where it will be available for stamping for 3 days. And I think this is such a kind of poignant time when we're seeing a lot from Washington, D.C. to have it there. I also will be heading out to Japan next week as part of the Japanese American Leaders Delegation. This is a part of a delegation with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs from Japan. And they have asked a group of Japanese Americans to mark the 80th commemorance of Hiroshima and celebrate the Nihon Hindakyoko Nobel Peace Prize for a symposium along with the governor related to global peace and security. They've asked the delegation to have a dialogue about how we can explore peace, reconciliation, and the unique role of Japanese Americans in strengthening U.S.-Japan relations. I'll be focusing on women in elected office and how we can be policymakers, and I'm going to be sure to share the history of how this county was once the feminist capital of the world, and how we can shape policy despite what they may see on our national level. And lastly, a silver lining that you can do right after this is join our session that I'll be moderating. It's called Building Bridges, the Role of Intergenerational Dialogue in Healing and Advocacy. Our session is going to highlight intergenerational dialogue, fostering healing, activism, and education, and our panelists are going to explore past experiences and future advocacy, and the initiative, if you don't know about it, you'll be able to learn, called Never Again Is Now, a mural project that connects history to the present. And I also will be talking about how, for the first time since he was born, last summer, my father and 3 generations of my family, so my father, my brother, myself, and our children all went to Heart Mountain for our pilgrimage, and how that is the greatest gift we could have given ourselves, because it was a healing for all of us. So I encourage you that, yes, it's important to commemorate the past, but as we think about the future, how might we be those moments of joy and light for others? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Kamei. Passing it back to our MC.
All right, let's hear it for Nina Chuang. Oh, one clap. Ready? There you go. All right. Very good, Nina. Thank you again to all of our esteemed guests for sharing their words, their time, their inspiration with us today. Next, we have San Jose State Provost Vincent Del Casino. He's been a strong advocate for Asian American Studies, a program with deep roots in student activism and community engagement. This year marks a historic milestone. 55 years after its founding, a program with deep roots, 55 years after its founding, San Jose State will celebrate its first cohort of graduates earning a bachelor's degree in Asian American Studies. Give it up for this first group. And keep that going, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Provost Vincent Del Casino.
As you know, everything in higher ed takes time. So, I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to be here today. On a personal note, Asian American Studies and Asian studies in general powerful influence on me. I started my undergraduate career studying in Japan and stood in Hiroshima and Nagasaki and stood in those moments and thought about the impact of global hate and what that looks like when it's activated. And being here in San Jose and being in this powerful place and this moment of remembrance shows us that not only is it critical to remember, but it's critical to do what we do here in higher education, which is to educate, to maintain a vigorous commitment to documentary history, to analyze that past so that we can learn from it, and to hope and affect change as a result of that. In moments like this that we find ourselves in, it is the erasure of the past that becomes one of the most powerful weapons that can be used in that documentary history. And so acknowledging and recognize the complicity of the institution is critical in this, but understanding that we have a pivotal role to play right now as an institution. And I'm not just saying San Jose State, the institution of higher education has a critical role to play in not only remembering, but maintaining a vigorous and committed educational space where people can talk freely, thoughtfully, and collectively about that past and what it means. So it is deeply, for me, a powerful moment to hear about our first cohort of Asian American Studies graduates. I'm so excited to have seen that program develop. It was a commitment that this institution had made a long time ago, and it's nice to deliver on that small promise. But most importantly, through such programs and the work of the university, we will not forget, and we will not let others erase what should not be forgotten. So with that, I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to speak here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Provost Del Casino. Important, strong words on behalf of the institution of higher learning. Really appreciate that. At this time, I'm honored to introduce, well, I would have been honored to introduce Dr. Hien Do. He's not here right now. He's not feeling well. He's under the weather, so he's saving all of you from getting sick and not being here today. But you know what? That's great, because I'm actually even more excited to introduce the person speaking. Don't tell him that, because we're friends, right? So, in like fashion, I will use a similar introduction, because this is all true. A beloved professor or associate professor of Asian American Studies at San Jose State. Not 30 years, but you'll get there. Her impact and her legacy are undeniable. We can see what's in the future. She's going to shape generations of students, strengthening our understanding of history, identity, and activism. She's already got those gears moving. You've all probably been touched by one or other of her projects, and she's heavily involved in today's, as well as many others you'll see about and hear about from this department. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Dr. Yvonne Kwan, Associate Professor and Program Coordinator.
As a scholar of Asian American Studies, I am often mistaken as an expert in Asian culture or that wretched thing called DEI. But actually I do neither. My field is rooted in the scholarship about power, people power, collective power. Asian American Studies was born from student movements, but we didn't do it alone. We learned from the Black Power movement and other struggles for justice. Even more important today, we must recognize that our histories are intertwined, our struggles connected, and our liberation bound together. Because of these lessons, we know that we must work in the community with the community. And we are grateful today to learn from our alumni presenters like Dan and Chris Kubo. Woo woo, woo woo. They are former leaders of Agents for Community Action who remind us that the fight for justice is not just in the books or the classroom. It is in the spaces we gather, we organize, and we build together. And this is also why Asian American Studies has partnered with Empire 7 Studios to create an internship that teaches students the power and the business of art as a form of storytelling and resistance.
We're accepting applications now. The flyers are outside. Also, we've invited dancer and artist Yayoi Kambara to work with students on embodied reflection and creative expression, because remembering is not just intellectual, it is emotional, physical, and deeply personal. I also want to recognize the intersectional, intergenerational leadership fighting to protect our local Japantown. Leaders like Wisa Uemura, Jen Masuda, and Vanessa Hatakeyama, who work tirelessly to resist the erasure of our history and uplift our shared struggles. And of course, our Asian American Studies students, the apples of our eyes. Give a shout out to them here. They've been with us, standing together, shoulder to shoulder, learning, organizing, and preparing to support one another in this ongoing resistance. So for today's Day of Remembrance, it's not just about looking back. Let's let it be a call to action, whether it's honing your craft in the classroom, doing your freaking readings, reaching out to elected leaders, or watching out for our neighbors. Remembrance without action is not enough. Let us remember, reflect, and resist together. Thank you.
Doing the freaking readings. Spoken like a true professor. Thank you, Dr. Kwan. Now I want to invite back up Nina Chuang to give us an update on the San Jose State Never Again Is Now mural initiative, yet another fold in this beautiful fan that they've created in a way of remembering so that we don't repeat history, we learn from it. Nina.
What does it mean to remember? Is it just looking back, or is it a call to action? Today, as we gather at San Jose State's Day of Remembrance, we don't just reflect. We commit to an enduring history that fuels our fight for justice today. Right here in Santa Clara County, Japanese Americans were forcibly removed from their homes in 1942. 83 years ago today, immigrants and American citizens of Japanese ancestry were ordered to appear here, to the SJS Boys Gym, now known as present-day Uchida Hall, before boarding buses to concentration camps. Imagine being a student here in 1942, walking these same halls, only to be told you no longer belong. Among those forced to leave, a student who had dreams just like ours was torn from their studies in a timeline to an education and sent to an incarceration camp. There were 125 Japanese American students who were forced to leave SJS College in the middle of their studies. In Santa Clara County, including San Jose Japantown, families packed their bags in a hurry, their businesses shuttered, and their farms taken over. And when they returned, many found that their homes and livelihoods were gone. But the Japanese American community fought back. The community rebuilt Japantown, organized for civil rights, and decades later fought for redress and reparations, demanding an apology from the U.S. government. Some of this work stemmed from our very own SJSU alumni and community. But justice is still an ongoing struggle. Their efforts not only secured a step to victory for our community, but also laid the groundwork for future movements challenging racial injustice. Today, we honor their resilience through action. At San Jose State, we're ensuring that this history is not just remembered, but woven into the fabric of our campus, our city, our county, our state, and our nation through the Never Again Is Now mural project. Next slide. This mural is a testament to the generations of activists, artists, and storytellers who have worked to make sure that the lessons of the past are never forgotten. We often talk about how history lives on through intergenerational dialogue, which is exactly what we're centering in our Building Bridges session. This mural is not only a student-led initiative. It's a collaboration between elders, community leaders, student activists, and artists. The same way the redress movement was powered by different generations working together, this project reflects the same spirit, passing knowledge, sharing stories, and making change together. And we're making progress. We finalized our request for proposals, RFP, for artists, which means we're one step closer to selecting a design that will bring this history to life. Soon, the walls of our campus will tell this story, not just for us, but for generations that will follow. Our vision for the mural tells the story of resistance to oppression, unity and dismantling institutional racism, the drive for reparatory justice, accepting accountability, and disrupting silence. The reckoning and the centering of this history connects the Japanese American incarceration to a much larger movement of allyship and resistance against systems, discrimination, and oppression of historically marginalized communities. It empowers us as present and future leaders of our generation to disrupt the silence, to speak out against the norm of complacency, and to fight injustice. But we need your support to make this vision a reality. We've launched a crowdfunding campaign to help fund the mural's design, installation, and programming. Thank you to Associated Students. Thank you for Associated Students for being our first contributor of the project, contributing $10,000 on behalf of students of San Jose State University. Every dollar goes directly into ensuring that this history remains visible and that the next generation of students understands their role in fighting for justice. If you believe in the power of public art, intergenerational storytelling, and the importance of saying never again is now, please consider donating. You can find the link here at the QR code, or come find me after this event and I'll personally share it with you. This mural is more than just paint on a wall. It's a statement, a lesson, and a legacy, and together, we're making it happen.
An important note, as Nina calls out Japantown and the importance of that in this whole history here. Important to Japantown is the history that was there as well. There was a Chinatown, there was a Pinoy town. All of these cultures, all these threads go together to make this tapestry we're talking about. So thank you for being here to listen to just one part of that. With that, we end this reflective plenary session. I'd like to first thank the Q organizer for today's program. This is no small feat. Dr. Jinni Pradhan, Program Director for the Center of Asia Pacific Islander Student Empowerment. Jinni, it's your first speaker stand. Can I just say the piece like everybody else? Okay, cool. Now, for anybody who has done program planning before, you know it takes a fierce leader and countless hours to make it happen. So thank you, Jinni, or Dr. Pradhan, for doing this today. And also thank you for the co-sponsors for today's events, San Jose State's Asian American Studies, Asian Pacific Islander Faculty Staff Association, Associated Students Incorporated, Center for Asian Pacific Islanders Student Empowerment, Division of Student Affairs, Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and Office of Community and Government Relations. Additionally, we are so grateful to the community support from the Nihon Machi Outreach Committee, San Jose Taiko, the UIKAI Japanese American Community Senior Service, and the Japanese American Museum of San Jose. Some of them are tabling out in the lobby, so please do talk to them about what else that they can offer and what you might be able to learn from them, experience with them. Please say hello and learn about their work. After this, we have a light lunch break outside in the courtyard before our next set of breakout sessions scheduled to begin at 12:15. We'll probably give you a couple of seconds extra there in case you have to wash your hands after lunch. Building community leadership, legacy, and cultivating the next generation will be here, featuring a panel of Japantown women leaders and executive directors of prominent San Jose Japantown organizations in conversation. On the second floor of the building, we have our two other breakout sessions. Building Bridges, the role of intergenerational dialogue in healing and advocacy. That will have Mayor Kamei on the city of Mountain View, a moderating panel of local Japanese community intergenerational activists, and they will be in meeting room 3. She was the one in the green who already talked about this meeting, so now she's got 2 mentions for that. And also there will be another session exploring the rich intersection of art, history, and personal narratives presented by Bay Area artist Yayoi Kambara in meeting room 4, yes. So experiential process there. So please, ladies and gentlemen, take some time outside to reground with one another, to nourish your bodies as we'll continue to nourish our minds and our hearts. And thank you, because this is not the most joyous of occasions to come for a remembrance, but it is important that we talk about what happened so we can change the course of the future, like you are all going to. Thank you very much.